Okay, we're now recording.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jim Hiding. I'm the chair of the Committee on Oversight of the Lawyer Assistance Program, and we're having a meeting of the committee today with our staff members. So I'll call the meeting to order right now. It is 2:03 p.m. And so I want to welcome you first of all and tell you all that the meeting is being recorded. Uh, Under the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, remote members of the committee must be visible on camera, and everybody is, unless their appearance are technologically impracticable. But remote members must also disclose any individuals age 18 or older in the room with them. Does anybody have anybody 18 or over in the room with them?
No.
Okay, thank you. Erica, could you please take the roll?
Yes, Heather Benton, not present. Lisa Johnson,
Present.
Deidre Nguyen is not present. Ryan Peterson,
Present.
Elise Yenny, not present. Catherine Young,
Present.
and Jim Hiding.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Do we expect any public comments, or do we have anybody nominated for public comments?
Looks like we have one person in the public waiting area. Second. So for those who are participating by Zoom video, you should have a function for virtually raising your hand. It's an icon and should appear at the bottom center of your screen. If you wish to address the committee, please click on the hand icon now, and the State Bar staff will call on you in the order that hands are raised. For those who are participating by phone, you may virtually raise your hand by pressing *9. That is the star key, then number 9. Again, doing so will alert staff that you would like to make a comment, and State Bar staff will call on you and open your microphone so that you can address the committee. Due to time restrictions, we can not allow more than 3 minutes for each speaker. Please note that staff will have an on-screen countdown timer visible for all attendees. During the duration of your public comment, the timer's 3-minute countdown will begin as soon as you start your comment, and you will be verbally alerted once you have 30 seconds remaining. The on-screen timer will flash throughout the final 10 seconds.
Thank you, Erica. And I want to remind anybody who does want to make comment that under the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, your comments should pertain and must pertain to the matters that are on the agenda or be related to matters within the purview and jurisdiction of this agency. So please keep that in mind if you want to make any comments. So with that, all that said, is there anybody from the public that has any desire to speak?
Looks like we have one attendee, Mr. Kion,
How do you spell that?
Kai, last name On.
Okay, Mr. Kai On. Let's call him Mr. Kai On. I believe he may have spoken last time we were together as well. But go ahead, Mr. Kai On.
Okay, Mr. Kion, I will unmute your microphone, and you will then have 3 minutes to speak.
Good afternoon, all members. My name is Kai On. On October 23rd, 1999 morning, I was searching for my missing father. I drove my car to a scene, and a female law enforcement officer showed me my father's wallet. She told me my father's body was removed from the scene, and she made up a story that it was a hit and run. It was just 2 hours after my father was killed. 26 years ago, only political power was able to control Sacramento law enforcement to make up a fake story of hit and run, and fake defendant Mr. Jung So-Fong killed my father Woon Kong-on. Right now, political power once again stopped Sacramento DA Mr. Tien Ho and Attorney General Mr. Robert Bonner to investigate DA case 99F08735 and the fake police report from Sacramento PD. Political power even prevent Chief Justice, Judicial Council, State Bar of California, and UC Davis Law School to look into the case. California is lawless. How we can say California is a democratic state? All justice system and law enforcement system in California could not protect the California citizen from social inequality. It destroys the reputation of California, and California government lost the trust from the California citizen. All members, please stand up to uphold justice and stop political power to control justice system and law school. Thank you so much for all your time.
Thank you, sir. Are there any others that wish to speak? Any other people raise their hands?
There are no other members of the public that wish to speak.
All right, thank you. Then we'll move on to the chair's report. I want to thank you all for joining me with the meeting today. The work of this committee saves lives, saves careers, saves families. So it's very important. We move to meet the public trust, to protect the public from unhealthy lawyers and serve the lawyer population and the law students with the idea of an approach to wellness and an approach to competence that will protect the public and serve the goals of the state bar, as well as really serve the moral purposes of our committee as well. So I thank you for being here and thank you for being committed to that. We have, to begin with, to thank one of our members who resigned recently, Joan Lubomirsky. She was the Senate Rules appointment, the Senate Rules Committee appointment. She felt she couldn't serve any longer due to personal matters, so we accepted her resignation between this meeting and the last one. I found her to be very receptive. She was engaged, she would respond to emails and to telephone calls. And so I appreciate that very much. And we appreciate her service. And I wanted to make sure that we commented on that. We're going to be losing a member in the fall. That would be Elise Yene. We're going to lose her to time expiration for her service, and so we will have another vacancy there in the mental health area. And so we want to make sure that we focus on maybe getting some energetic people in here into the committee as well to continue to support us and to support our efforts going forward. Now we have 6 seats filled right now. They are all state bar. Oh no, they aren't all state bar. I think Ms. Yenny was Speaker of this. No, it's Deidre. Deidre is from the Speaker of the Assembly, right?
Right. We do. All 6 state bar appointments are filled. And then in the fall, we'll be reappointing somebody for Dr. Yenny's position as a mental health professional. And there are 6 seats that are appointed by governor or speaker, and one of those is filled right now. 5 are vacant.
Okay, so if you know somebody that's interested, that would be that you feel would be good for this committee, we can certainly make recommendations to those officers that are going to be making appointments. And so please keep that in mind, and we'll go forward with a strong committee. I wanted to also say that it's been a great pleasure to work with Michelle Harmon in putting things together. She's very supportive and she connects very well with people, as you can tell, as you all know. And she's very pleasant to work with. And I want to thank Ken Norse for his efforts. You know, he puts together a lot of programs. Both of them will give staff reports in just a minute and talk to you throughout this program in regard to what they've been doing and some of the things that are coming up. Michelle's going to address the work plan that we have put together, and Ken is going to address some of the programs he's put together, including some MCLE things that are coming up, as well as I think you have a 4-hour course that's coming up as well for presentation that is sponsored by the LAP. So he'll be talking about all of that. And I'm very proud to be working with both of them. And Erica, you know, she runs a tight ship here, so runs the meetings and helps us out and very supportive of the work we do. So thank you. And the other staff members that are here, I want to thank you too. I can't leave you out. And so I apologize if I'm not speaking about you personally, but I do appreciate all of you and want to thank you on behalf of the committee. So we're looking at seriously at some of the things that are coming up and some of the things that are serve the basis of the lawyer assistance program. One of the things, of course, is budget and spending. It's I found that our hands are handcuffed in many ways by the inability to be, you know, spending some money on things that we'd like to spend some money on. One of the things that we'll talk about in a few minutes is the financial assistance program and getting some people to be on a committee to look at the budget and look at the financial assistance program, how it's being run because of projected possible shortfalls and the ideals of serving the population that we do serve. So that's one of the things that we want to look at. The work plan is going to be described by Michelle. She'll put on that information to us. Of course, our continuing outreach that we provide and the continuing help that we provide to lawyers. We do as good a job as you can expect and as good a job as we can with the budget, but we want to increase, of course. There's always perfect, and then there's the perfectionist that wants to be a little bit better than that, you know. So we want to be a little better than perfect in our ongoing efforts. So you've had materials provided to all of you for a little bit of the history of the LAP, some of the work plans that have gone on in the past, some of the information from the early on in the 2003, some of the annual reports. So if you have any questions about any of those things or any of the materials or any of the information, or if you need more, if you would like more or like more resources or more materials, please just ask. Is there anybody right now that would like to talk about any of those resources? Okay. All right. Well, just keep it in mind, please. The LAP also provides a lot of resources for attorneys. If you just go to the website, you'll see the resources that are listed there. It's quite an encompassing group of things that we provide to people. So if you want to get acquainted with that, please do. I feel like it's unfortunate that we're unable to have in-person meetings. And so, you know, the budgets and it used to be back in the good old days, right? When the State Bar had some money. Yeah, I can see the smiles. That's exactly right, though. But when the State Bar used to spend money, we would spend money on getting everybody here to a location. We would, you know, provide a lunch. We would have the rooms, maybe provide overnight lodging, and maybe even travel expense. So that we could all attend and meet each other and meet and greet and go over things. And it proved to be more inclusive, number one, and probably a better grasp of things, number two, in those in-person meetings. So I would love to, when we look at those finances and we look at the budget, get something together so that we can connect and get in-person meetings or an in-person meeting annually, so that we can meet and greet staff, meet and greet LAP participants, perhaps, see what their experiences are, maybe the counselors and the consultants, uh, the managers of the cases, get to see what actually is the meat and gravy of the program here. And the Zoom meetings just don't get it for me with the Bagley-Keene Act, especially, so that we can't really connect to each other very well. At least I feel a little handcuffed by it. And so those things are part of my goals as to reviewing those things. I want to also announce that the Commission on Lawyer Assistance Programs, we've been in touch with the Commission on Lawyer Assistance Programs and talking to them about possibly doing a review of our program, because they do that and they offer that for free, although there's some expense in travel and lodging that's involved in the American Bar Association's review of the lawyer assistance programs throughout the nation. But we're still talking to them and seeing what's available. And we're going to send two of our staff members to the Arizona Commission on Lawyer Assistance Programs national meeting that comes up in October. Is it, Michelle? October, I think. And I'll be attending as well. The State Bar will not be able to pay for my travel or lodging, but I'll pay for that myself. So we'll take care of that. But we're going to have two staff members as well that are going to attend. So we look forward to that. And if anybody is connected to the International Lawyers in AA or Doctors in AA or any of those services that provide help to professionals, that is always a good resource to have. Any of our members are invited to be authors. If you want to be authors, we would certainly help to publish your work, whether it's in a state bar publication or maybe a private publication in a LA Daily Journal or something like that. If it's appropriate, of course, with the lawyer assistance program. But keep it in mind, if you have anything that you want to get published, it always helps, I think, to publish things professionally that are related to our work and related to our program here in the lawyer assistance program. Anybody who wants to make suggestions or comments or have anything included or direct some efforts in some direction, again, I feel a little handcuffed with the Bagley-Keene Act. So what I suggest is that you contact staff. They'll contact me and we'll talk about it and we'll put something together and we'll follow through with your suggestions and your ideas. So, and with that, that will summarize my my chair comments, and we'll move on then to the next agenda portion, which is number 2, the staff reports. And so I don't know which one of you wish to go first. Michelle, is that you?
That's me. Well, I will say that you're going to hear me talk a lot later and talk about the fact sheet. Monitoring is chugging along. So, Ken, if you'd like to take the staff report time to talk about support, happy to have that.
Okay. And Ken?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jim and Michelle. I'd like to talk about, actually just very briefly, share my screen with you. I would like to highlight some of the updates that we've made to the Lawyer Assistance Program webpage. This is also a great opportunity to point out some of the resources that Jim just mentioned. As everyone might be aware, the State Bar website was recently revamped, and I'd like to mention that we've included a video that's a short overview of the Lawyer Assistance Program, so it's very easy for people who potentially need our services. They can check it out there. As Jim mentioned, there are some great resources for attorneys. It's further down on the page. And I'd like to go to our Lawyer Assistance Program offering page to really go over some of the programming that we're currently running. At this point in the Lawyer Assistance Program, we have 4 main programs that we're working on in addition to other programming that we put on throughout the year. We're currently coming up to the second of 3 Refocus ADHD Strategies for Success in Law sessions. People are interested in registering, they can click on that. Even if they miss the first session, by registering, they'll gain access to the recordings of the prior session. I'd like to mention that in April, we have our upcoming Refresh Spring Mindfulness series. As Jim mentioned, this is going to be a total of 4 one-hour sessions that will be held throughout April. And I would like to promote our April 8th session that's going to be a hybrid session and include both a Zoom-based element as well as an in-person element. If you're interested in attending, the second session that we have that's on mindfulness, civility, and Dharma, sort of an exploration of the intersection of those 3 areas, please register using the link provided here and then reach out to the Lawyer Assistance Program to reserve a seat. Our Retool Law Office Management Support Program will be reprised in October this year. Last year was the first iteration. And as expected, our Reset Bar Retaker Support Program will kick into gear again in May for the July 2026 session. So that's sort of a high-level overview of the programming that we have now. I think we might get into the support services fact sheet later, is my understanding.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments you want to make?
Jim, I just would like to promote that there is a link to sign up for the Lawyer Assistance Program offerings emails that are sent out alerting people about that. There's a link on that to that on every page of the Lawyer Assistance Program website. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much, both of you. All right, let's move on then to the open session minutes. We're first going to look at the minutes of September 5, 2025, and then we'll move on to the January 23, 2026 minutes. So has anybody not had a chance to look at the September 5, 2025 open session minutes? Okay, then I would entertain a motion to approve them if I could get one, please.
I motion.
Thank you. Lisa Johnson moves to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Who was that?
Catherine?
Thank you, Catherine. Catherine Young seconds the motion. Is there any comment on it or changes or any matters you wish to discuss? All right, hearing none, then all in favor say aye to approve. Oh, excuse me. I'll turn it over to Erica. I think
Yes.
we have to turn it over to Erica to take a roll call. Excuse me, sorry.
Yes, I was going to do roll call. So we have Heather Benton not present, Lisa Johnson,
Aye.
Deidre Nguyen not present, Ryan Peterson,
Aye.
Elise Yenny not present, Catherine Young,
Aye.
and Jim Hiding.
Yes, aye.
Unanimous pass.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the January 23, 2026 open session minutes. I believe we didn't have a quorum at that meeting. Is that right?
That's right.
That's
There was
correct.
no quorum, so this was just a record of the informational meeting that was held.
Right. So could we have unless there's comments or anything, could we have a motion to approve those minutes, please?
I'll motion that.
All right, Catherine Young made a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Lisa Johnson seconded it. Erica, would you take a roll, please, on the vote?
Yes, Heather Benton is not present, Lisa Johnson,
Aye.
Deidre Nguyen not present, Ryan Peterson,
Aye.
Elise Yenny not present, Catherine Young,
Aye.
and Jim Hiding.
Aye.
Unanimous pass.
Thank you.
Welcome.
We'll move on to item number 4, I believe. 4.1 is the annual other bar report presentation. Is there someone on line that would be making the other bar report? Do we have someone?
Yes, one second. We have Anise Smith and Greg Dorse. I'm going to promote them to panelists.
All right, I will introduce them in that I am an appointee through the other bar, through the Board of Trustees. Anise Smith is the recently elected president of the other bar corporation, and Greg Dorst is a consultant that we use for Southern California and has been our consultant with the other bar for decades now, I guess. So I think you'll enjoy both of their personalities and presentations. They're very competent, so ask them any questions you might want to ask, and we'll go from there. Anise?
Thank you, Jim, and thank you to the committee for having us on today, for having Greg and us and I on today. So, as Jim said, my name is Anise, and I am the president of the Other Bar, recently elected. And a little bit about me with the Other Bar. I was first introduced to the Other Bar as a 2L in
Excuse me,
2017.
just one
And
second. Anise, do you have a
yes,
video? Your video is not on. Is there any way you
you
could?
guys can't see me?
No. Sorry.
Uh-oh, it's showing that I'm on. Okay.
Well, there's a picture of you.
Am I here?
Nope.
It's funny because I can see myself, but you can't see me.
Okay, how about just your picture? We'll just do it for there. Yeah.
We'll go with the picture for now. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. It's showing my video on.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. So since 2017, I've been a part of the Other Bar. I was a 2L, and I've remained as a member ever since. So it is especially meaningful for me to be here in this role today. And so I'm sure you've read our report, but I did want to touch on some highlights. And of course, I'll be available to answer any questions if you have any. And so, at a very high level, the need for the work that we do is significant. Studies show that substance use impacts up to 36% of attorneys, often beginning early in their careers or even in law school. And so, what is the Other Bar? You all are mostly familiar, I think, with the Other Bar. But we are a statewide nonprofit providing confidential, peer-based recovery support to attorneys, judges, and law students. Our model is voluntary and anonymous, and it's grounded in a shared professional experience, which means that people are often more willing to reach out because they know that they're speaking with someone who understands the unique pressures of this profession. And the Other Bar has been serving the legal community now for 40 years, over 40 years, actually. And over that time, we've grown into a statewide network of recovery support. So while we are not a state bar program per se, we are closely integrated into the broader ecosystem of lawyer assistance, working alongside LAP and other partners to expand access to care and support across our profession. And so over the past year, we've continued to expand both our reach and accessibility. So I want to give you some information about that. We now support nearly 30 weekly meetings statewide. Those meetings are remote, they're in person, they're hybrid. And in 2025, we saw over 14,000 individuals in attendance at our meetings, our various meetings. We also maintain a high level of direct engagement, thousands of hotline calls, those numbers are in the report, and written contacts from legal professionals seeking support. And so a few key ways that we're showing up in this space, including in coordination with LAP. We're serving as an early and confidential entry point for attorneys who may not yet be ready to engage with LAP or who are not yet in a formal program. We are supporting and reinforcing LAP clients, including ongoing peer connection and follow-up after initial engagement. That is mostly done with our consultants, but also via meetings and events. We are partnering in education and outreach, including MCLE presentations where LAP is consistently referenced and often presented alongside us. And we are expanding access statewide, ensuring that attorneys, regardless of location, we know we have some remote areas, and we want to make sure that regardless of location, that folks can connect to and support when appropriate, and particularly when they are transitioning or have started with LAP services. The other bar is also a leader in legal education. We believe that we're the single largest provider of alcohol and drug addiction competence education for attorneys in the state of California. Last year, we provided approximately 80 MCLE presentations, and we continue outreach to law schools. I'll talk about that a little bit more, and legal organizations across the state. Additionally, I did mention events. So we have annually a women's retreat, a men's retreat that take place in both Southern and Northern California. And next year, we'll be having our 40th spring networking event. And we just recently held one in Irvine. And so two things I'm excited about that I want to highlight for you is that first, we have established a second all women's meeting to join its sister NorCal Women's Lawyer Meeting, which is a really wonderful opportunity for women in our profession and across the state to speak honestly and candidly about the trials and challenges they face with maintaining sobriety in the practice of law. In addition to that, we have also significantly expanded our presence into law schools. We started ramping that up in 2022. And so we're increasingly present with law students early in their careers, like myself, right? I was a 2L when I was invited to an other bar meeting. And it helps to normalize conversations around substance use, mental health, and recovery, hopefully before issues escalate. But if they already have, we're still there. And so in our report, we do highlight some challenges that you all are probably seeing as well. We're encountering a newer generation of lawyers that are navigating addiction in the context of rapid technological change, economic pressures, and lingering post-pandemic isolation and loneliness. We're seeing increases in maybe not newer forms, but certainly increases in the area of addiction with prescription drugs, gambling, and compulsive online behaviors. And like I said, loneliness, social disconnection, and especially stigma continue to delay people from seeking help until they're already in crisis. And so what makes the other bar particularly well positioned to respond is our model, right? I've said it several times. We are confidential, we are peer-based, and we are grounded in shared experiences. This allows us to meet individuals where they are, often earlier, and support them in a way that feels more accessible, more trusted, more sustainable. We're creating communities is what we're doing, communities of support. And so from a funding perspective, the resources allocated to the other bar are used almost entirely to support direct services. So particularly our consultant program, which allows us to respond quickly and consistently to those reaching out. And our consultants are an indispensable part of the work that we are doing. So ultimately, our goal is to make sure that members of the legal community have somewhere to turn early, confidentially, and without barriers so they can get the support that they need. So that is all from me. Greg, if there was anything you wanted to add as well for the work that the consultants are doing. And again, I'll be available for questions.
Thank you, Anise. Mr. Dorst, did you have something?
Well, I'm available for questions as well. And I know a few of you in the room, and I've been around for some period of time. I've been a consultant with the other bar for 24 years, and I found it to be an incredible organization that keeps getting better. And we have an amazing relationship with the LAP. We sort of work hand in glove. I get calls and I receive and I call case managers, and occasionally I have a conversation with Michelle. I really appreciate those conversations. So we do things that are a little bit different than the LAP program does, but we have some freedom that the Lawyers Assistance Program doesn't have. I mean, I work in the community. If I get a telephone call, I go there. If there's a lawyer that needs help now, I'm in the car and I'm out to their office or meet them at home or meet their parents or set up a brief intervention or a full intervention if necessary. Many times people get a hold of me directly after MCLE presentations and we can bring them into the other bar and then lead them to the lawyer's assistance program if that is appropriate at the time. But we just we have a system that works, and it's because we're open to helping one another. We have Michelle and I have served on the CLA Attorney Wellness Committee, and in fact, we were founding members of that committee. And so I'll offer you this, guys, and then you can ask any question you want of me. If you really need articles, you can go to, well, I'll send them to you. But I've written probably a dozen articles for the Attorney Wellness Committee for the California Lawyers Association under Sani Advocati, which means the healthy lawyer. And I'd be happy to allow you guys to use those and blast them out to new and different folks. So any questions, I'm willing to answer.
Thank you, Greg. I think that the other bar is an invaluable tool for us at the LAP and can and should be used to consider our goals and to push our goals of outreach and service and public protection through wellness and support and help. So I want to thank you, Anise, for your service and for your dedication, and Greg for your service and dedication. Greg has a lot of initials after his name that he didn't mention, all those, little initials that you get after getting educated. But anyway, so anybody have any questions or comments you want to make? Please, you're invited.
Yeah, I just would like to make a comment. I'm Ryan Peterson. I'm part of the basically the physicians equivalent to what you guys are doing. And I'm really energized to hear Anissa's speech as well as Greg's to know that this more about this program and the MCLE presentations that you're doing and your personal uh experience show I could feel the love that you have for and the passion that you have for helping other attorneys who are struggling with addiction and alcoholism, and it's really really wonderful to hear, and it's kind of the reason I'm in on this program is to maybe help with the bridge or the the similarities that doctors and lawyers share in California as they try to practice and deal with their sobriety and help others. So I just want to say I don't really have any questions, but I was really energized to hear you guys' shares. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, Ryan, David Smith, do you know David Smith from the Haight-Ashbury Clinic? He was very involved with the international doctors and that sort of thing. He was really a big support toward the beginning of this program and has continued on. He must be 87, 88 years old or something like that. And I know he's retired from Haight-Ashbury not too long ago, by the way. But a spectacular man, and your organization that you're a part of is really dedicated as well. So thank you, and thanks for being a part of this and serving on our group.
Thank you.
All right, with that, I want to thank again Anise and Greg. I appreciate it very much, and it's an informational report, and we got a lot of information out of it. So thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having us. Take care, everyone.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the work you do as well, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So moving on, then let's go on to item 4.2, the discussion of the Lawyer Assistance Program fact sheet to be presented by Michelle Harmon.
All right. I will start off with the fact sheet. Ken will jump in after the monitoring part to talk about support services. You all, well, hopefully have it. If not, you accessed it on the agenda after this meeting that'll get posted to the website too, so people can access it throughout the year. I will not read to you out loud what you have in front of you, but what I will do is add some information comparing, since you might not have the 2024 report in front of you, where the numbers are, where the statistics match up from last year. And actually, it does with the intakes. We do include the past several years. We've got 6 years total here on our intake numbers. And so last year, I know everybody was very concerned about the dip because our numbers had dipped and they're coming back a little bit. Actually, more than they had in several years, besides that first year when we were somehow transitioning and we had so many people in 2023 come in and no one has been able to explain what happened that year. Um, but our enrollment has been looking good. So the reasons for participation, this is what I thought was interesting. One of the things compared to 2024. So the on the second page talks about reasons for participation in terms of whether somebody is coming into the program because they have discipline, if they're an admissions referral, if they're here because they're in law school and somebody told them you're going to have problems with admission and you better come to this program, or if they're here voluntarily. Now, when they tell us they come voluntarily, it might really be they've heard about the program and they need the help and they really want it. It also could be my lawyer thinks I should voluntarily come to this program because there is going to be something coming down the line that the state bar is going to find out about eventually. But that number really increased. The voluntary number of enrollments was 42% for 2025, but in 2024 it was only 20%. So doubling is interesting. I would venture to say good that people are coming to the program voluntarily. And on the flip side, the number of discipline people who are coming in, being involved in the discipline system, has reduced. Admissions and pre-admissions stayed about the same. The reasons people came into the program for their presenting, and this is the monitoring side of the program, presenting issue also flipped from last year in terms of substance use and mental health issues. Now, 41% of people in 25 and 44 in 24 said that they were here for both substance use and mental health issues, which is what we would expect. But the number who came for mental health issues in 2024 only reported 11%, and last year we had 35% who said they were coming just for a mental health issue, no substance use problem. Which as we've been talking about, we talk about our work together with the other bar. There's lots of focus on support for people in recovery. The program, I think, was founded for the idea of people in recovery and being able to monitor somebody's recovery program. And people coming into the LAP for mental health only issues is a great. I think this is wonderful in reducing the stigma if people are willing to come and talk about it. And attorneys, especially, are known for not wanting to talk about things like their anxiety and depression and bipolar disorder and whatever other diagnoses they may have. It provides different challenges for the clinical staff to monitor those things because you can't take a urine test or a oral fluid test to test for a mental health symptom the same way you can for somebody using substances. So it brings some more depth, I think, to the program, which is great. And then closed cases, not so interesting. And actually, the categories of closed cases haven't changed very much, which I do think is somewhat interesting that it's very consistent in 25 and 24, how many people successfully completed, exactly the same, 23% both years. And the number of people who are just discontinuing because they say either I've gotten what I need, or they might be saying I don't want to do what you want me to do, but they just decide on their own they're going to leave. And the number of people who have met their goals, that stayed consistent. Performance metrics, we met our satisfaction goals, same as we did last year and same as we have every year since we've started measuring these. The performance metrics I will refer to later when we were talking about the work plan. So I'll just insert a little bit here since you have data in front of you that the way we do that is we gauge satisfaction is a voluntary anonymous quarterly survey. So it is sent to all of the participants in the program, in the monitoring side of the program, but people do not need to respond to it. It's not part of their compliance with monitoring, so there's no consequence if they don't do it. So you might expect that often it's the people who have something they want to complain about who are going to respond to a survey like that. But fortunately, we are still above 80% satisfaction rate in regarding the question, the information and services provided by LAP effectively and appropriately address my goals. This report also talks about the financial assistance numbers. As you all know, we granted our entire budget for grants in 25, and we're on track to do that again in 26, and that will come up in our work plan for 26 also to talk about that financial assistance program. And then the report moves into the demographics. So the demographics give us little snapshot of the types of people in demographic type of people who are enrolling in the LAP, in the monitored side of the LAP. And that is also a voluntary and anonymous survey. So new participants do not have to fill this out, but this is a survey that's offered to them. A link to fill this out online is offered at the time of enrollment. And so you can see what our population looks like. Some of the things that I thought that was interesting that were different and looked significantly different from 2024. Active attorneys, we seem to have fewer. There were 57% of enrollees were active in 2024 and only 39% for 25. Age is similar. Identified gender was interesting. Everybody who responded to the survey in 2025 identified as male or female. And in 24, we had some non-specified and non-binary respond. Racial and ethnic groups, very similar. Numbers are slightly different, but a spectrum, and biracial, multiracial participants. Sexual orientation and identity, similar with 2025 numbers. People identified as there was one not specified, otherwise majority heterosexual, 90%. Nobody identified, like in 2024, as asexual, pansexual, or bisexual. We had several other options. So I don't know that that means anything, just something interesting in what's happening in our population is identifying 90% heterosexual and 25. So that takes me through all of the monitored statistics, and next is support services.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I'll give an overview of 2025 support services statistics. I apologize, I don't have a comparison with 2024 in front of me. I will make comments as I remember the report from last year. So there are really two main buckets of services on the support services side. The first one we call TAS, or Transitional Assistance Services, and this is where members of the California legal community are entitled to 2 free complimentary sessions with a mental health therapist. And in 2025, we also provided 2 free sessions with a career counselor for members of the community who qualified and who were interested in that. Last year, we had a total of 61 requests for career counseling services and 220 requests for individual therapy. The makeup of what the average participant looked like was a little different this year. On average, the request came primarily from an active attorney who is married, between 40 to 50 years old, male, white, and heterosexual. This year, it was unusual that we had slightly more men than women who actually reached out for these transitional services. And we also have outreach that we do in the form of presentations, for example. So there were a number of different kinds of presentations that were done throughout the year. There were 49 presentations that reached a diverse audience of over 5,000 legal members of the legal community. There were 15 ethics and client trust account school presentations where we provided a general overview of lawyer assistance program services for those people attending those OCTC sessions. And those were attended by about 386 participants. We also held a total of 13 impaired colleague, which focused on the prevention and detection competency requirement and wellness presentation to various organizations. We had a total of 287 attendees there. It was really our sessions of the regularly scheduled periodic programming that we had where we had the largest number of attendees. This past year, as part of the Reset Bar Retaker program, we had 2,270 attendees that focused both on mental health strategies and study strategies to help retakers retake the bar. In terms of our Refocus ADHD support programming, we reached 1,790 attendees. And in terms of our Refresh Spring Mindfulness Series, we had a total of 373 participants. We also presented at other orientations, conferences, and special events, including things like State Bar Law School Day, where we recorded a video that was shown to newly admitted students here in California. Beyond that, I'd like to mention that our programming focuses on a wide range of people. I can look to certain programs like the Refocus ADH Strategy for Success in Law program that really helps address neurodivergence within the legal community here in California. And at the same time, the Refresh Spring Mindfulness Series really tries to bring a toolkit to bear for all members of the legal community to deal with the high levels of stress and anxiety, among other things that we have here. As part of the profession. So that's my overview of the 2025 support services side.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Michelle. When I watch Ken and I was watching the report by Anise, and I could see Ken's wheels turning. He's constantly moving in his head about planning programs and presentations and things like that, and you can just see him working on it. Almost transparent on your forehead, but we appreciate it very much because you're energized in that direction, and you do a great job. So thank you. And Michelle, fantastic. Uh, any questions or comments? Now, please, I want you to know this is your committee and it's your committee. So if you have ideas and thoughts about how things should move or how things should change or how things should be improved or could be improved, please don't be in any way shy about talking and about making suggestions or questioning things. Staff, does a wonderful job of supporting us and putting things together and helping us to run the program without constant questions and activity by us and without our direct involvement most of the time. But certainly we, as oversight committee members, are invited to make suggestions and improvements. So please, if you have any questions or comments, please make them. So I'll invite you to do that now. Okay, well, thank you very much again. I guess you're doing a great job because there's nobody griping about anything, and so it's a good thing. So thank you all. So we'll move on then to 4.3, the discussion and possible approval of the 2026 Lawyer Assistance Program Oversight Committee Work Plan. And so I'm going to ask Michelle to present the information and the work plan summary to us. And your suggested goals and information are included as an attachment to the agenda, so you might see it there. And by the way, Michelle, if you would, let us know again where we could access these materials that are being discussed today in case we want to have that to review after the meeting or during the meeting. So,
Yes,
Michelle.
if on the State Bar website, they've recently redone, well, it's December, but relatively recently redone the website. And so it's very accessible. There's a menu bar right up at the top. And if you go to the section for public, there's a drop down and public meetings. You click on public meetings and it will take you kind of towards the middle of the page is a box that says public meeting portal. And if you click on that box, it takes you to a website that you can access information about all of the state bars committees and commissions and the board of trustees. You can filter by the LAP oversight committee. And if you click on like right now, the first one for the LAP that should be up there is today's meeting. And if you click on our meeting, it says, I think HTML agenda or something. It will take you to the agenda for this meeting. And with each agenda item, there is, if there's an attachment to it, you'll see a little paperclip, and you can click on that or click at the three dots on the right side of the page, and it will let you download all of the materials related to that agenda item.
So all you have to do is turn left and then turn right at the boulder and turn left at the next corner and then go past the big tree and
It might be something that I do very often, and so it seems simple to me, and I'm now saying it all aloud might not be that simple. Um, but it is all there, and I this is not a huge group. I'm certainly happy to walk anybody through it. I can meet with all of you one-on-one and do it in no time. So we
It's
can set
good.
up a Zoom to do that if you need.
It's good. Thank you, Michelle.
So we're very happy to be presenting this item today to a quorum of our committee. Um, Last year, about in May, the Board of Trustees had instructed all of the boards, committees, and commissions to make a work plan for the following year. Many of the committees were already doing this. We, on the Lawyer Assistance Program, were one of the few committees that were not doing this in the board format. We had made our own types of like work plans, but not in this format that goes to the board. And so what this is telling the board is for you, for the oversight committee, not for the staff work, not how we're doing the monitoring, not how Ken is doing support services, but for the oversight committee, what the members are going to be working on for the upcoming year, which is now the current year in 2026. So it doesn't need to be super detailed. It's more of a high level, like these are our priorities of what we want to work on, a roadmap that the board will know. And then once we approve this document, will go to the board for them at their next meeting, which will be in May. So if we approve it today, hopefully we will do that and we'll be able to put it on the agenda for the May meeting. So why don't I have it on the screen too. So I'm going to share a copy of the work plan. And this is the draft work plan. Let me know when it comes up. You'll all see my screen. Yes. This was what we worked on last year as a proposal for 2026. So Ken and I worked on this. Sorry. Well, Ken actually also worked on some of it. Jim and I worked on. Sorry. Okay. On these, this might not be what the committee wants to work on anymore. We might want to amend some of it. This is not set in stone. These are suggestions right now. So you'll see the first part just says this is what what the charge of the committee is. And then here's some things to do, reviewing the metrics. So remember when I said when I was talking about the fact sheet that this will come up later, the quarterly satisfaction survey is what I was talking about, that we have the 80% satisfaction metric. And the staff reviews this. Those metrics go in the fact sheet and it goes to the board once a year, Board of Trustees. We haven't had a specific working group or subcommittee or anything of the oversight committee to work on this. So this was one suggestion that there could be a review of those. It also doesn't have to be done in a working group. It could be done in a full meeting. The next thing, financial assistance. This one for me is my, favorite here that I really want to make sure that we get going now because financial assistance is so important to many of the people in our program. And we changed the way it was done. For those of you who haven't been on the committee for very long, the financial assistance used to be in the form of a loan, and people could take out a loan from the program, from the state bar, basically, and would need to pay it back, which was problematic for very many reasons. And so in the beginning of 25, the committee, we had working groups on this in 23 and 24. And so we were finally able to implement starting January 1st of 2025 to make it a grant. So people do not have to pay the money back anymore. And now that we've gone through 25 and we've seen how it worked and how the grants money, how it was allocated, when in the year we ran out, when we're of the budget we had set for it, when we're expecting to in 2026. I really think that we need a working group that can really focus on looking at this and changing, revising, fine-tuning what we had put in place in 2025 for our financial assistance. Then we've got, this was an idea, practices and procedures to review the monitoring and intake assessment process that the LAP clinical monitoring analysts, so those are the clinicians who are like the case managers, use. I think when this one was created, this was more of a thought for the clinicians in the room to make sure that what we're doing is effective and up to date. Also very valuable. although as Jim was indicating, our committee is not fully staffed right now with the energy and resources and volunteer time that we have. I would not put this as a priority for the committee to work on because they're all professionals and they are, I think, successfully doing their assessments. This might be something we would want to push to 2027 if we have more interest and more time, if we really want to look at, what the clinicians are doing. Um, and and the reason I'm kind of giving that caution, we can certainly keep it on for 26, but then this is the kind of thing that at the end of the year, the board might come back and say, well, you had this on your plan. What happened? So I don't want to set up the committee for failure is too strong of a word, but set the committee up for questioning later of you made all these goals and you didn't get to them all. When we first talked about let's see, we made this originally probably last September, October, when we came up with these ideas. So we are many months down the road and many months shorter now that we have to get this completed by the end of 2026. And then finally, on the outreach section, this assisting staff with the development of the required prevention and detection of substance use and mental health issues MCLE program for 2026, we should definitely keep on here because this is already in progress. We have some volunteers from the committee. Heather is our immediate past chair, and Jim, our current chair, are working with Ken on this already. And the due date for getting it is coming up in 26 already. And so we started having a working group on that because this due date was much sooner than the rest of them. So this presents the work plan and the goal. You know what? No, I won't take it down yet. I was going to say I can show you the motion. I have a motion laid out, if you will, on a Word document if you want to talk about making a motion to pass this. But before we do that, conversation, what questions or things people want to know or talk or suggest, if there's other ideas that you have to put on this plan that are not here already, now's the time.
Well, I'll speak, Jim Hiding, and that is, I think that Michelle is absolutely correct in putting the emphasis on the financial assistance and the budget. I really would like to find some dollars here and there and see if we can squeeze and make ourselves more effective. In order to have the committee active and everything, you don't need to be on many of these assignments or anything to participate, but it would be great if we could at least commit to one of these areas per person or more if you wish. I'll be committed to all of the areas, of course, and I'll be willing to attend any of the meetings of any subcommittee or committee that has to do with any of these topics and join in. I won't be necessarily a committee member as chair, but I will certainly join in and be willing to be a member of your committee. But please, even if you don't do it today, please consider what these particular areas you want to focus on. I know that as I'm sitting here thinking and looking at your qualifications, the PsyD, the PhDs, the MDs, the initials after your names, the lawyers and others, you certainly have the capability of helping us out with some of these things, and we would need you really. Now, some of the other things like numbers, some people aren't good with numbers and the budgets, they don't want to care, they don't care about that. That's fine. I mean, doesn't matter. That's good if you don't want to be involved in that particular area. But if you can get involved in something, please make a commitment to do it. It won't be much. I promise you it won't be much. And if it entails anything more than a slight commitment of your time, then you can beat me up next time you see me. But right now, I just invite you to join us. And I really support the work plan as Michelle presented it. But that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Anybody else? More committee members than for staff. Any The other three committee members here have any other suggestions or comments or want to volunteer to be on a working group, I'll take it. Well, let me stop sharing this while you are thinking, and I will switch over to this document. So this is the motion that was agendized that you can vote on if you want to leave the plan exactly out how it is, sh how I shared it just now. I did see in your attachment that's posted, the only difference is it says March 1st instead of March 31st. I don't think that's critical. The one that I showed you on the screen just now said March 31st for that very, very last outreach goal. Ken extended it a little bit. So it would be this work plan with a timeline of these quarterly reviews on the metrics, financial assistance, and then by the end of the year, an annual look at the practices of the clinicians in the monitoring side of the program, and by March 31st, 26, this outreach program.
Where is your March 31st, 2026 date? I don't see it on that plan that I looked at. Is it on there somewhere?
I will show it. Let me reshare that. So this is the whole work plan document. Scrolling all the way down to the very last box right here, March 31st, 2026. But I think on the version that was posted in one of the previous versions, it said March 1st.
Okay, thank
You
you.
want to look at these again? Anyone want to see these?
So if you're in favor of adopting this work plan for presentation of the Board of Trustees, then I'll need a motion that would be in virtually the same form as Michelle shared on the screen,
I'll
which
share it again.
is the resolution that she shared. Does anybody wish to make that motion or a similar motion or any motion?
I can make a motion to adopt it as written.
All right, Ryan Peterson makes a motion to adopt the resolution as written. Any second, please?
I second.
Lisa Johnson seconds the motion. And Erica, could you take a roll? Well, let me ask, is there any discussion or comment? Hearing none, then Erica, would you take the roll on the vote, please?
Sure. Heather Benton, not present. Lisa Johnson,
Present.
uh, Deidre Wynn, not present. Ryan Peterson,
Present.
Elise Yenny, not present. Catherine Young,
Present.
Jim Hiding.
Aye,
Okay, unanimous pass.
thank you. Well, I think we'll be in touch with you, possibly individually. I'll ask staff to please contact the members to see who's interested in serving on the various projects that are set out in the work plan so that we might get those moving forward. And again, it won't take much of your time. Staff puts together an awful lot of support for us. And so I certainly appreciate your commitment and your willingness to do that. It'll really promote what we do. And
And Jim, I see that in my note to you, I had written that we hadn't scheduled it yet because last time we hadn't, but now we have scheduled our meetings. So June 12th,
oh, June 12th.
also a Friday, same time, 2 p.m. is our next meeting. So before June 12th, I will hopefully I will reach out to everybody. Hopefully we will have working groups meet before June 12th, and then the plan is that you could report back at that June 12th meeting on what progress or recommendations the working groups have made.
Okay, well, thank you all. Does anybody want to say anything besides goodbye and I love you? Well, well, okay, thank you. Goodbye, I love you. That's the end of the meeting, and we're adjourned. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.